What's going on, everybody? Party people, welcome to the ideaPRTY podcast. How are we feeling today?
Am I messing up? Can I catch it?
I just want to make sure this is. Are we good? Okay.
Well, it is digital, and there's the digital virus, so you know.
Never know.
Right, we're encouraged.
Awesome. Well, this is episode 38 of the ideaPRTY podcast. Thanks for joining, guys. Today we have your co-host Granson Crawford, and then we have writer and podcast host of the Right About Now podcast, Jonathan Small.
Hey, guys. Thank you.
All right, welcome. We're happy to have you, man. How's everything going? How's your what's today? Thursday. How's your Thursday so far?
Oh man, can this week be over? Can it just be over? And my birthday is Sunday, so I'm just counting the minutes to do nothing on my birthday. I can't go to the beach. I can't go to a restaurant. I can't go on vacation. So I'm excited about that. Absolutely.
All you can do is change the background on your phone.
Yeah.
It seem like you went.
Yeah, why not? I mean,
that's true.
You can't tell that this is green screen right here.
Yeah. I wish this year in general would just be over. 2020 was just a wash.
It's very depressing. Very depressing.
I turned 35, and I'm not counting that. Next year I'll be 35, where I have an actual birthday with people and friends.
It doesn't count quarantine.
Exactly. No,
it doesn't count. It's like a year. It's this year. You just write it off. It's not a real year.
But speaking of writing things off, I don't know if we told you this, Jonathan, but the initial name of our podcast was actually Writer's Block Party, PRTY, and we changed we rebranded to ideaPRTY podcast, more for ideas. But it started off with writers, and then you have right in your podcast name. It's not left; it's really right. That's great. I wanted to bring that to light.
I like that. I like writer's block. That's clever. And we've all suffered from writer's block. I hate it. It's but it's part of the game. If you haven't suffered from writer's block, then you're not a real writer.
Yeah, get out of town.
Right. You're not. You might as well just
forget about it.
Yeah.
Just give up on your dream.
Just give up on your dream.
In today's episode, just give up on your dream. But so for those that are watching that, this may be your first time or not, but we basically come up with ideas for a movie, TV show, or a product. The product we've done is, it can be anything outside the realm of movie and TV, a video game, board game, all the, a toy, franchise, whatever the case. And so today, Jonathan, our guest today, will be the one to choose which platform. And then Jonathan, I'll give you 3 different titles, name ideas to choose from, and we'll kind of create the fun from there. And the audience gets to join in on the fun in the process. How does that sound?
I'm looking forward to this, guys.
I definitely had one after you, RC. I just got one.
You got one? Okay, I'll only say 2 then. I like this.
Yeah.
Okay, so Jonathan Small, movie, TV show, or product? What do you want to do?
RC, I think I'm going to go with, I watch a lot of TV these days, so I think I'm going to be going with TV show. I've been binging Netflix and Amazon. And
what was that?
And they always give those long answers on these game shows where they explain why they're deciding. So I'm going to do that. I think I'm going to go with TV show. My wife and I enjoy TV, and I think I'm feeling about TV show.
It's a golden age of TV right now, so I think
Exactly.
What's on your queue? Like what's the latest binge-worthy show that you're watching?
I was watching Normal People, which is almost like softcore porn. It's a very strange show from Ireland, but I recommend it highly. It's a really good show. We've been watching The Homecoming because we're just behind on our binging. A good one. Man, I can't even think right now what I've been watching, but those are 2 that I recommend quite highly. Yeah.
Well, I think the most exciting thing is that the show that we are about to create is going to be the next binge-worthy. It's going to take America and the world by storm. I have a fear.
Could be the next Cheers.
It could be. Yeah.
We don't know.
I heard that's a pretty good show, Cheers.
It was on for a little while.
Yeah. It had
Is that the place where everybody knows your name?
Yeah, but apparently they're always glad you came. But
Yeah. How they know?
Nice.
Yes.
Awesome. So so we got a TV show. We're going to create a TV show with Jonathan Small from the Right About Now podcast. Okay. So, all right. The two I name that I'll drop in the hat, and then Grandson will give his. Is going to be Fun Intended.
Okay. I like that.
And the other one that I got is Oh Hail No.
Oh hell no! Like rain.
Oh hail no.
Hail no could be there.
Hail.
Oh hail no. Okay.
Hail. HAIL.
And
Oh
then
hail no.
For mine, I have care in.
In
Care in.
and in.
Care in.
Oh, Karen, like Karen.
Care in. Like
CARE.
ARE-INN.
Oh, like an inn, like a motel.
It could be Karen the way you're talking about. You could do it.
Karen, I was thinking I thought you said Karen. I was like, you mean that? Yeah.
That's the beauty of the show is whichever one you choose, we're just gonna create and just get crazy with that. So, which one's calling your name?
I don't know. RC and Garrison. I'm a guy that likes a good pun, and so I think I'm going to go with Fun Intended.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like that one too.
I'll go with Fun Intended.
A little pun pudding right there.
All right, fun. Now, so Fun Intended because you like puns. Obviously, there's that fun in the pun intended. Okay, so what are you thinking initially? Are you thinking, we like to break it down into like, okay, what kind of a show is it going to be? An episodic, six episode thing, a full blown Game of Thrones style thing. We can create whatever.
Yeah, I'm thinking that it's probably a sitcom, a half-hour, 36-minute sitcom. But that's the obvious answer. So maybe we should go with the opposite of what we think it would be, which is a epic Game of Thrones like fairy tale.
Okay.
I don't know.
Why not?
Would you ever call a Game of Thrones show Fun Intended? No. So let's.
Hey, what? Like Branson said earlier, it's the golden age of TV. So we're gonna create it. We're gonna put our stamp on it, and we're gonna make it fun.
Yeah.
What if it's a post-apocalyptic show about the future of EA Sports, like Fun Intended, like people are like regions are winning and like.
Okay.
I like it being a post-apocalyptic. I like this. I don't know a lot about EA Sports. I know my son gets into that stuff pretty majorly. But I love this idea of like it's a world where fun has dropped out of the lexicon. There's no longer fun.
Fun is outlawed.
But fun has been outlawed. Fun has been outlawed in this post-apocalyptic world. But maybe a group of rebellious teenagers.
They're the fun lovers.
The fun lovers. They've created a an underground TV show or some sort of feed called Fun Intended.
Would you say underground or funderground?
I think it's funderground. Thank you. Thank you very much. It's a funderground show, but it is extremely illegal in a place where fun has been banned. And so the dark forces that inhabit our post-apocalyptic world are looking for these fun-intended folks and trying to hunt them down and stop them.
And also the concept of things that are fun are now monopolized.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
They've monopolized fun. They've phenopolized. They've phenopolized.
The phenopolists.
And in this world, everybody talks in puns. It's a strange world where that's sort of the way that the world has turned. Where the only way you can have a sense of humor now is to use puns, and that's because the dark leader. That's his sense of humor is just a bunch of puns. So that's the sort of highest form. So some of the most famous comedians are pun experts.
It's their colloquialism.
Yes. It is. So everybody talks in puns, and it's it's really a disturbing, really, really. And to me, that's actually an apocalyptic world where everybody just uses puns all the time.
Just puns.
Puns. Okay, we got Sapo from Facebook commenting. Puns are currency. That's actually. Ooh,
I like that.
good.
Puns are currency.
Like a digital currency. Like so it's post-apocalyptic, but still in the digital age. That'd be kind of cool to see, right? Like,
So
I'm thinking. Go ahead.
First you get the punny, then you get the power.
Yeah, and everybody has iPuns, and you on your iPun, you use your iPun to send texts, but they have to be sort of punny, and they're not funny because puns are not that punny or funny, but.
Excuse me, I'm gonna have to debate you on that, but it's okay.
Okay. But these guys, these underground pun intended guys, they have they've created a kind of sense of humor that is very sinister to the people who are ruling this world because there's no puns. It's straight out funny.
Yeah,
but I think I love that, but I specifically love though the
I'm a little bit lost in my plot line, but I'm excited.
Well, no, I think I
was like, yeah,
and I'm following. Whether I'm liking, I'm just kidding. I'm following. I love though the
and start fresh.
I just do. I really do love the post-apocalyptic, no fun, like a serious take on it. Like it's grimy, grisly. It's gray. I'm picturing like Snowpiercer kind of esque post-apocalyptic. I can't speak today. Sorry.
I just what's it called? The Terminator with my son. It's that world, right? There's just robots roaming around, destroying the humans, and the humans are hiding somewhere. A few of them that are left are hiding, and one of these groups is these fun intended guys.
So I'm wondering if should we make it to where the aspect fun is a very it's a big word, but then it's a small word, right? There's so many aspects to what is considered fun. It's the happiness, it's the joy, the feelings of enjoying life. So I'm wondering how we can encapsulate that into this concept is, we should get to the why. Why is fun being outlawed in this time? Why is the Dark Lord? Did something happen like, the origin of the Dark Lord that like fun killed his, a family member or something? I don't know. I'm just spitballing here.
Like maybe John Wick did. Maybe fun killed his dog.
Fun killed his dog, or his like Batman. Fun killed his parents, but fun could have killed his favorite pet because everybody was always having fun. They always say it's all fun and games until your dog dies. And
everybody says it.
Everybody always says that, and it's super annoying. Yeah. And so maybe it was all fun and games until his dog died.
His dog died of laughter. Oh, his family died of laughter.
Yeah, until his dog died. I don't. It's sad that we have to kill a dog to get into it.
Dog was laughing too much.
Yeah, so the dog. We don't have to deal too much with the dog dying, but the dog did die, and that turned the Dark Lord, who was really a loving, happy guy, into a Dark Lord, and he doesn't want to have any more fun, and he doesn't want the world to be fun anymore, and he just wants dogs have been banned, pets have been banned, singing, dancing, any kind of fun activity. Sex, no sex.
Yeah. No sex.
Only bad sex. That's not fun.
No. And then they need to be quarantined in their house, and they can't enjoy their birthdays with anybody. This is today, guys. This is now.
And look at this. One of our guests says his family died of laughter. I like that idea that not only did the dog die, but his family also died from having fun. And they talk about dying of laughter, rolling on the floor, laughing, but they actually died. They rolled on the floor and they died on that floor.
So he enacts a fun genocide, a funicide?
A funicide.
Oh, a funicide is good. A funicide,
Can fun intended be like their Hail Hydra? Like fun intended.
Oh.
Unintended. I like that.
I like that. I like that. Okay. The Dark Lord, is he working alone? Does he have a team? Are we thinking like maybe because of the movie I watched last night, which is like like a SWAT team of people. Those are the bad guys, and there's a guy that kind of runs them. You know, like
Yep.
are people actively knocking on, like opening people's houses and say, "Wait, are you having fun?
Yeah.
You having fun? Don't
Yeah.
have fun.
Yeah.
Not on my watch."
Maybe they like big, you know, if there was fun there, they put a big F on your door and they brand you as a fun-loving person.
Ooh.
Yep. Yeah, a terrorist. A fun terrorist.
Yes.
Funnerist.
You're a funnerist. And you're a yeah. Why can't I think of any puns for terrorists? I don't know. But anyway,
yeah.
But
You're a bomber boy. No, I'm joking. That's not good.
You're fun. You're fundamentally evil, but you are. So anyway, yes, I agree. I think that the Dark Lord, who probably should have a name, Funyun, Mr. Funyun.
You said fundamental. I like that. Like, what about like the fundament? Like that's you know, that's the organization. It's that group of people, the fundament or something like that.
Yeah, are they the good guys or the bad guys? The bad guys and
the bad guys.
Yeah,
yeah.
So
should we create with that? Okay, we already have the negative, right? We have the bad guy. Now, who's the good guys?
So the good guys are people. A group. Yeah, it's a group of people who somehow managed to escape the wrath of the dark Lord.
The British
cars with fuzzy hats that aren't allowed to laugh. They bust. Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
Thank you, Sapo. That's a good one.
That's a good one. You have because you're not allowed to laugh. If you laugh in this world, you die. That's the scary world.
Laugh.
Before you go to jail. Yeah. Funny or Die actually came to truth.
It becomes funny and die though.
Funny and you became funny and you died. And actually for a while all the people of Funny or Die were sort of worshipped until they realized it actually had nothing to do with the premise of what they were trying to do.
Yeah.
But Funny and Die is the actual slogan of the SS troop that helps the Dark Lord, the fundamentals.
That's good. That sounds good.
And then so we have the Funderground, right?
Yeah, it's on the Funderground.
There is one leader of the Funderground who has somehow rallied enough people to follow him and believe that, you know, fun can come back into fashion, and if fun really needs to be a thing again. And a lot of people are scared of this thought. They don't want to be killed. They don't want to be they just want to stay in line with what the Dark Lord wants. But this Funderground, they hold these crazy raging parties. There are lots of funny people there. They
the first one has to turn to like a genocide as well, right? Where like they get caught and like they all get mowed down with guns because they're having fun.
Right. Fun Day, yes. Fun Day, Bloody Fun Day was was a dark day in the.
It was a dark day, yeah.
Yeah, that was the day where Fun Day, Bloody Fun Day.
Yeah,
it initiated.
Mowed down. A lot of people died, and some of the survivors are still kind of hiding out. And
and so I could see posters of like in memory of, you know,
right.
Or never forget, you know, remember all those strong,
you know, like Jerry Seinfeld and like clowns' faces and stuff like we'll never forget you. You made us laugh. But anyway, those are kind of, but they've been banned from our world. Like people don't know about comedians. They don't know anybody. They don't know anything about it. They didn't even know it existed.
I was just going to say that an interesting aspect of this is there should be a younger, like a child who's never experienced fun, has no concept of fun in their life, and kind of like, and you know, I'd love to see that, you know, like that's interesting.
Yeah, they have. Maybe
nice.
One episode is like we see life through the eyes of a kid who never. It's like North Koreans who never grew up outside of North Korea. And by the way, I don't want you guys to get hacked now because I mentioned North Korea. Sorry. But
just say North Korea.
North Korea.
I just closed my laptop. It's all good. They can't.
I have no idea.
You can't see me.
But it's like, you know, those people who've just been raised in one. They have no idea what the outside world is like. They have no idea, or not even the outside world in this case, what the past was like. There was a time where people used to laugh, but all they know now is tears and sadness.
Which is, there's a lot of like of fun. Again, using that word, fundamental truth to that though. Like, is they're just they're just slave laborers. They're just slaving away. So like they think that they're being born just to work.
Yeah, and they don't know any different. They don't even know what fun is because
they don't know what play is. They don't know.
Yeah, to them, being sad is the way life is supposed to be, and they don't even know what that feeling feels like. And that's why it's so dangerous that the Funderground is trying to get message to these guys through their phones, because it's kind of like in North Korea. There's some of the North Koreans I've heard are starting to watch soap operas from South Korea, and it's changing the way they perceive the world, because they see there's a world out there. Yeah, it's the same thing, man. The fun guys, they get the stream, and people are like, ha ha ha, ha. And some of the fun stuff coming out of Funderground, it's not that funny, but by our standards, but it's like whoopee cushions and people like.
I'd love to see. I can already picture the scene of like someone who's never like smiled or never laughed, and like they're battling the urge that they're being told not to have, and just you see it, the mouth, and he's breaking up, and then like, I don't know, I'm just picturing that. That'd be a great dramatic. It might be funny, but then also dramatic, because maybe it brings him to tears.
Right. What about people start laughing so hard they start crying, and then they're confused because they're crying?
Yeah. If you laughed for the first time really hard, like one of those belly laughs, then you would probably feel an overwhelming sense of like release.
Yeah. Now, maybe one of the relatives, I'm harkening back to Star Wars here, but one of the relatives of the Dark Lord is actually in the Funderground, or she she's kind of like a Princess Leia type, where she
wanted to get back to that.
And maybe she's like the hero of our
and because the fondest memories that she has, it's all with her, just fun and her family and all
that darn dog that used to make them laugh so hard. That was such a nice dog. Love her.
Yeah. That's good. I like that. Okay.
Get Hulu on the phone. This is a good one.
Hey, Hulu. Is that your lifeline, Hulu?
Hello, Hulu. This is my mouth. I'm talking.
A green that gets on the line and it's like, hey, sorry about that, guys.
You're like, Hulu. Hulu, who's this?
Hulu.
Okay, I love where we're at. Okay, wait, let's see what our comment says. You start laughing for the first time and everyone around you just beat the shit out of you out of fear. It might be contagious. That's good, actually. The contagious aspect is really good.
Yeah.
Because it's like a yawn, or like if you're laughing, like clearly, like if I was laughing and we're next to each other, you probably be like, oh, what's so funny? Like, I want in on that. I want to laugh. Like, so that was a good thing.
That's interesting. Maybe people got like surgery to like make themselves frown because like they don't even want to smile, and or maybe they just all wear masks so you can't even see if they're smiling.
Ooh,
you don't see their mouths at all. That's kind of creepy. So you just never see anybody's mouth and you can never tell.
Approval noise.
Yeah.
Is there, okay, this may be a weird, stupid question. Is there like a part of the body or the brain that is responsible for laughter? I'm sure there is.
Probably is the medulla, the mingula. I don't know where, so I could look this up on the internet. But there probably is. There's probably something.
What if they get that? What if they remove that? That's being removed by the fundamentals.
Interesting. And that's
to wipe out everyone, so they can't even. Yeah, so they can't even like access that. Huh?
They're cauterizing fun.
They're cauterizing fun. Yeah. A lobotomy, a lobotomy. They're taking out. They take. What about? It's like the worst one.
I think we should go with a laha-tomy. Like ha.
So but here's the interesting thing. They take out that part of your brain, and some people are still laughing. So what the heck is going on? Because like it shows you, this is getting real deep here, that maybe humor is like beyond even the brain, like really good, funny stuff. Like there's something about humans that are just, because if you don't have that part of your brain and you're still laughing, there's something up with humor. It's like, I don't know.
Laughter is a no-brainer.
It's a no-brainer.
Oh, that's good.
Laughter is a no-brainer. That's good.
I'm gonna write that down.
That's our that's our billboard around Hollywood.
Yeah.
It's a no-brainer. FY, for your consideration. Laughter is a no-brainer.
I like that.
Fun intended.
Okay. I love where we're at, and I'm gonna put a little pin in this so that way we can. I'd love to to learn more about you, Jonathan.
Oh, sure.
With our segment called the Question Corner.
I can't do that every just that one time.
We should have recorded it. Dang it! Oh wait, it's live. I forgot. All right, so right about now podcast. Listening to a few of them. You have journalism. An editor. A writer. That's kind of been your forte. I'm jealous that you have a lot of accolades with that, which is great. I love that. I love that about you. So with that, the first question I had was, what made you take all of that, your years of experience in the different mediums and different companies, and create the podcast right about now? What made you do that?
I wish I had a better idea other than I was trying to figure out. I was taking a marketing class in downtown LA, and one of the projects was you got to come up with a marketing device to kind of sell your services, whatever that is, right? And at the time I was writing a lot. I'm doing a lot of freelance writing, and I was like, well, maybe if I create a podcast, more people will kind of know about me as a writer. And it was just like a assignment, and lo and behold, I realized when I started making this podcast, whoa, I really like podcasting. Like, this is everything I like to do. It's journalism, it's broadcast. It's like back in the day, I was a DJ. As you can see, some of my DJ equipment back here with my turntable. So it's a lot of production, which I was really into. And so it kind of took on a life of its own. And now, I host that podcast. I have another podcast I host called the Green Entrepreneur Podcast. I just got hired to host another podcast, which I'll be able to talk about soon. And so I got kind of really immersed in the podcast world kind of by accident, but realized that I had a real passion for the platform and the medium. I love it.
You caught the bug.
I did, man. I mean, it's so much fun. I love listening to them and I love making them.
Can you tell me about the Green Entrepreneur Podcast a little bit?
Sure. So I'm the editor-in-chief of a magazine and a website called Green Entrepreneur. And that is, it's by the same people who make Entrepreneur Magazine. A lot of people might be familiar with Entrepreneur Magazine. It's been around for a long time. And Green Entrepreneur is really focused on the business of cannabis, and CBD. And so I write about and edit stories that are about the industry of cannabis. And we're here in California, which is the hotbed of the cannabis industry.
Yeah.
So, I've got lots to write about. But I basically, talk to people who have been successful in the cannabis business, and I talk to people who want to get into the cannabis business and try to give them advice about how to succeed. So my podcast for Green Entrepreneur, as well as writing that, I host a podcast. I bring on guests, just like you guys are doing, and we talk about the business. I usually bring on people, that have had a lot of success in the business, or just like celebrities just getting into the business. I had once fortunate to do an interview with Chelsea Handler when she was trying to get into the business. She still is, but it was kind of right before COVID.
Nice.
And then just also just kind of people who are not celebrities like that, who are just like have great ideas. I'm always interested in kind of highlighting those kinds of people.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I do got to say, you do have you have a great podcast voice. Like it's you got that smooth voice.
People say that, but I think it's the mic because I have it all. It's like this is actually an auto-tune mic. So actually, it's kind of like if I turn off the mic, but I turn on the auto-tune and it's like. So it's cool. Nice.
That's awesome. So with that, again, that's what we appreciate about your show is, if I'm a writer, I can go to your podcast as a resource, right?
Yeah.
To learn about certain things from other people in the industry. Just getting the who's it's and what's it's of it, and just getting that knowledge. So I love that. So I was curious to know which. If you have a favorite takeaway from any of your episodes, specifically the Right About Now podcast.
Yeah, favorite takeaway. I mean, I was just interviewing, I love it when people tell me that are really successful writers that they have that imposter syndrome happen to them too, where like they're writing and they'll be like, I have no right to be a writer. Like, this is all a big fraud. Like, I'm not really a good writer. And these are people who are best-selling writers who have sold, made millions of dollars off their scripts or off their books or whatever. And they too have the same fears that I have sometimes when I'm writing. We're like, who the hell ever said I'm supposed to be a writer? Like, this is ridiculous. I don't know what the hell I'm doing, And I think I always am encouraged when people admit their vulnerability to me, and that, admit that writers too are insecure, and writers too, have real writer's block. It's not just the people who are starting off. Like, when you can't come up with an idea, or when you're really stuck with a character, like, you're not alone. And like, the best in the business have the same problems. And I feel like the difference between maybe you and those people is that they've pushed through it and, maybe suffered a lot to get to where they are. They're also pretty talented most of the time, but a lot of it is just perseverance. And so I feel like a big takeaway I get is that, don't let a lot of, you're going to get into a lot of stumbling blocks. There are going to be a lot of moments when you just want to give in, and just know that the best of them have all had those same thoughts. You're not an original, and that even the best writers have a lot of doubts, and they still, manage to see, even when they release the book. I know people who can't even read their reviews and, still never are happy with what they've done. So, it's just
that's just the what's that saying? We are our own worst critic.
Yeah.
With the
yes, we are our own worst critic. We are in our mind. We are so much worse than we actually are, probably.
Yeah. and I think though too, sometimes it can be like the thing that keeps you wanting to improve, right? Like, you meet people who are like, "Oh, I'm the best," and then you like never see anything happen. And then, people who are really doing it are the people who are like, "Yeah, I don't know, I could do more."
I've grown suspicious as I've gotten older of anybody who tells you they're the best, or they're a top writer, and there's something up. When you've got to like, toot your own horn like that,
validate yourself like that.
Yeah, there's definitely something up. There's definitely something, that I think that definitely rubs me the wrong way, because I just don't feel it's honest. I think it's good to have confidence in yourself, but like, to go around blowing your own horn. It's interesting. I just actually did a podcast with a woman who wrote a book about how to be a better bragger. And I was like, really? I mean, I had to have her on the show because I hate bragging.
Yeah.
She was saying that, like, it's a muscle that you need to learn how to do if you know how to do it right. She wasn't really talking about being like Donald Trump. It was more about, being able to talk confidently about yourself without being embarrassed to do that. So yeah,
that's interesting. Yeah. For those, we have all types of listeners, as far as, different markets of whether it's entertainment and whatnot. But for those writers out there, the aspiring writers, do you have anything that you can tell them, for whether they should move to Hollywood, move to LA, kind of like the typical?
I mean, the first advice I always give, and it's annoying, I know, to most people, but is if you want to be a writer, you have to write. I mean, I think a lot of people have this kind of fantasy of being a writer, but they actually don't do the part that is the writing part. They just like the idea of being a writer, but the actual, like, I just want to be a writer. So I would write, just try to write a little bit every day. You don't have to write more than 10 minutes a day, but make yourself write every day. And try to do it at the same time every day. Make it a routine. Get up in the morning and write, or whatever it is, whatever time of the day, right before you go to bed. But again, don't make it so overwhelming for yourself. Like, I'm going to have to write 2 hours every day. Like, don't do that to yourself. Like, start off 10 minutes a day, set a timer.
Baby steps.
Maybe, baby steps. Then maybe 15 minutes, as you get into it. But just write every day. Another thing is, writers got to read. Players got to play. Writers got to writers got to read. I mean, writers, it's interesting how many people who want to write don't really like to read. Maybe they like to watch TV or whatever, but you gotta read. You gotta understand the way words are put together, the way other writers, structure sentences, and you'll really pick up so much just by osmosis. Just reading a little bit every day, you will. Again, you don't have to read like a whole book every week, whatever, but just reading, making a discipline to read. And I'm not talking about just reading your feed on your social media, like read a good book or a screenplay or whatever.
A book, what is that?
I know, exactly. I mean, for a certain generation, I know I'm pushing it. All right, maybe a comic book, maybe you can read a manga. Like, my kids only read graphic novels. That's fine. At least you're reading. But I think it's like it rubs off on you. And then especially if you start to find a writer that you really like, I always tell young writers, start to imitate that person's style. There's nothing wrong with stealing somebody's style. You'll make it your own eventually. But if you love a certain writer, start writing in the style that you think that writer would write in, and you will eventually see that you're going to find your own voice. But sometimes it's good to copy somebody else's voice.
Yeah. You literally just said what I was going to ask is find your voice, find your voice, find your voice. How would you say what's the simplest way for one to find it or know that it's there and know that what they're thinking is their voice is their voice?
Yeah.
Is it, the way they're grouping words or
know thy voice?
Know thy voice. Yeah, it's a great question. I think it's kind of thing when you know. But I think a good way to start that I've heard people say, and I've had people say this on my show, is to start imitating other writers that you like. People are like, "Well, isn't that plagiarism?" Not really. I mean, you're basically plagiarism is the highest form of flattery or whatever. Imitation is the highest form of flattery. Start just imitating their voice. Eventually, your own voice you're not going to become that person, but eventually you're going to start channeling some sort of voice for yourself. And you'll know it when it starts coming. And I don't think you can plan these things. I don't think you can say my voice is a sarcastic, angry New York guy. You just can't do it like that. It's got to come organically, and it comes through doing. It's just like, when you play a sport and you keep practicing and practicing and practicing, eventually you become better at that sport. You find out what kind of athlete you are. And in my case, it was always a bad athlete, no matter how much I played basketball. So that's a really bad analogy, because if I was the hours that I put into trying to be a good basketball player. But no, I think eventually, again, you're just training that muscle, that writing muscle every day, a little bit more. You're going to find your own voice. It's not something that I would worry about right away, because, professional writers, I have a lot of voices that I use. I have to take on a lot of personas when I'm writing. When I'm writing for Great Entrepreneur, that's one voice that I have to. That's my sort of I put on my entrepreneur voice. But when I'm writing for when I used to write for Maxim magazine, back in the day, that was a totally different voice. That was like my dude voice. When I was writing for women's magazines, that was another voice. So I don't think, unless you're writing the great American novel, you're probably not going to be in a situation where you just have one voice your entire career. That's true. You have to adapt a lot of voices. Yeah.
And coming from, one of our slogans or taglines is creators being creative. That's kind of how I started this whole podcast with that is, but taking that one word creative, right? And you mentioned it a little earlier is exercising that muscle. Well, putting it in what you just said is really, for me, music is what I love. I found my voice in that sense as far as my style of music that I like to play. Granson's in comedy, so he's found his voice with that, so I just I love all that.
Well, I mean, comedy is a great example, right? Like, I'm sure when you first started doing comedy, you were channeling, some of your favorite comedians, right? I mean, how could you not be influenced by whoever you were growing up listening to? When I was younger, I used to always imitate Steve Martin because I used to listen to his records a lot when I was a kid. And then as I got kind of older, my humor changed a little bit. And I don't know. And I was never a professional comic, but I can imagine when you first get up there, you're doing your best imitation of whatever comedian it is you love,
Somebody that I didn't necessarily take their cadence, but I took their stage presence was Anthony Jeselnik.
Oh yeah.
And saw how when he would deliver, he would almost physically land on the joke and lean into the audience and almost say I dare you not to laugh. And so I definitely kind of was I love that he just makes people laugh,
Yeah, you borrow that stuff all the time. I do that all the time. I'm reading something, I'll be like, that is such a good little trick that person just used, to get to the different sentence, or wow, what a great idea for character development.
I think
did I go?
We got a little technical difficulties with our live.
With me?
All right, Jonathan, you still there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
I can hear him.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
Yeah.
It was stuck for the last 5 seconds. We weren't able to hear what you said.
That was probably the best thing that I said the entire.
I heard you. You did.
Yeah. I have to I got to go back into the past and remember what I was saying. I can't remember what I was saying, but anyway, I was just saying that I think you eventually will find that voice. And that's interesting. You say I'll be reading somebody, and I all the time will just be I'm going to copy that writer's thing that technique they just did, all the time. I do that. So I think there's nothing wrong with imitating and stealing other people's styles until it becomes your own. As long as you don't steal their exact words, as some comedians do. I hear they steal jokes all the time. Common thing. Yeah.
I don't have I actually had somebody somebody, you know, because comics look out for each other. So like if we hear something that we have, like a friend is like, oh, that's my friend's joke. You know what I mean? Like, you know, we'll be like, hey, such and such got your joke, and you know, whatever. And somebody hit me up about a joke I have where, you know, I'm like, white people like to tell me I look like Key and Peele. I like to tell them that that's two people. And then like Eric Andre, I guess, did something.
He did that joke. Similar.
Yeah. But it's kind of a different joke. And I don't like, that's not like, if somebody stole my life story or something like that, not that I think he did, you know, but if someone stole like a story I created about me being a kid, I'd be like, not cool. But like something that's just kind of, you know, like easily observable thing, you know?
Yeah. I think people get very bent out of shape for silly things like that. I always get that question from people like, how do I know people aren't going to steal my idea? And I'm like, you know what? Just write your damn idea. Like people get so worried like they're about that they're going to steal my, and people, the more experience you are in writing a business, the more you laugh at that question, because that really doesn't happen.
That's when we started this podcast, that was a lot of people's initial reactions. Like, well, wait, you're giving ideas away on the internet? I was like, well, yeah, you know, creatives, we can, I shit ideas, you know, like in that sense, like we can do, you know, anything, you know?
Yeah. Big shout out to Paul Narvaez. That's an old friend from my childhood.
Nice.
Shout out in the comments. What's up, Paulie? Paulie Narvaez from New Jersey.
What up?
Thanks for joining us, Paul.
Talking about one time I was at a mixer and this guy was so nervous about people stealing his ideas that he couldn't tell anybody about it. So I was like, why are you here?
You're supposed to network.
Well, that's got to be some deflection. There's no way that's like a legitimate.
Yeah, you can't have. You probably haven't written anything down yet.
I know. They're just waiting. I said that. Yeah,
it's still an idea at this point.
Don't worry about getting stuff stolen. Nobody's.
I'm surprised he didn't like go to the mixer. Like, okay, can you send this NDA, please? Sign this, and then I'll tell you. You know.
No, it's really sad.
It's definitely. You know,
I mean, I won't even remember this conversation, you know, probably in 20 minutes, you know. I mean, nobody remembers things that they heard or jokes that they heard, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, and then you might be, it's your subconscious somewhere. And I heard you say that Key and Peele thing. I was like, oh my God, I just heard that joke. And then you were mentioned, I was like, oh, right. Cause I just watched that special on, but I mean, I don't remember, you know, anyway. So
is there one last question is if you could have, you know, you interview guests on your podcast, obviously, is there a guest, you know, alive or dead that you just, you know, love to have, like you had all the magic in the world?
I'd love to have Jon Stewart on my show because
I love Jon Stewart.
I really admire him. And
let's get him in. Let's get him on your show.
I mean, we could probably get him on, right? I would love to have. There's a part of my show. Sometimes I go a little off track because I'm very into old school hip hop. So there's a part my audience just has to deal with that, whether they like it or not. So there's certain rappers that I would love to have on my show. Like I really want to have Rakim on my show.
Yes.
I've really wanted to have Schoolie D on my show because he is like the godfather of all gangster rap, which is one of the reasons I did the gangster rap to hopefully lure him to coming onto my show. I do have his email address. He just hasn't gotten back to me. It's all right. I'm down with it. I understand Schoolie.
I want to smoke a blunt with Black Thought.
Black Thoughts. I don't even know who that is.
I don't know who that is.
It's the lead singer in the Roots.
Oh, cool. All right.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that would be fascinating.
Jimmy Kimmel's band. Yeah.
I don't watch Jimmy Kimmel that regularly, but
Jimmy Fallon's band.
The drummer.
Yeah. Questlove is his home.
I'd love to talk to Questlove. He's another guy I'd love to talk to. Yeah, that's a hard one. There's so many different people. I would love to have met Richard Pryor. He would have been a fascinating
great
interview. So I mean,
him and Carlin are you know, some of the greats, you know,
the greats, the legends. Oh my God. Yeah. Actually, George Carlin, I interviewed. One of the first interviews I ever did in my entire life. I interviewed George Carlin. It was this nerve-wracking experience. Yeah, I must have been 22 years old. This is such a long time ago that George Carlin was actually on this show called Thomas the Tank Engine. He actually used to be on that show, and I was working at a children's magazine, and they're like, will you call George Carlin up and interview him about his role as being a conductor on Thomas the Tank Engine? And I'm like, George Carlin? It was like terrifying. Interview like my idol.
How did it go? How did the interview go?
Doctor on a fucking kids show. I don't know. It's just awkward, but it went all right. It went okay. I got the job. I mean, it ended up getting me a job at this magazine, so it was a good thing. So I thank George for that.
That's awesome,
George.
Yeah. Well, I know we have a few more minutes, of your time. So I think, I really am already set on fun intended. I think, there's a lot there. I think it was a really great.
To show runners watch this, because I feel like we probably come up with some really good ideas on this show that Hollywood could mine this show for some great ideas.
Yeah.
We would be like, you stole our idea.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's time stamped.
Well,
yeah, that's true. Right.
We get Grammys, like, right? Like, we're like, hey, that idea appeared on. We're not going to sue you. We don't want money. We just want to say we did that. I
want to be in the background. Those award shows. Those guys that are standing in the back.
Yeah. So we actually have a question for you from one of our viewers.
Yeah.
It's from Azaneth. I'll post it up. So would borrowing a line and rephrasing it by one or two words considered plagiarism? It's a good question.
It is a very good question. I don't know. I think you can rephrase it. You can certainly paraphrase. I do it all the time. I think like just changing a few words, it really depends what kind of, if it's like some really deep sentence that you're borrowing that some like philosopher wrote that's like so perfectly, and then you just kind of try to make it your own. But if you're just like cutting and pasting something from an article and you just kind of want to tweak it slightly, I think that's okay. But try to make it your own. Try to make it your own. I mean, why not? Like, why even take what they said and then just try to change a few words to just make it your own. I don't think that's so hard. But I do that all the time. Sometimes I'll cut and paste like a paragraph from an article, and then I'll just kind of reword it and rephrase it to kind of follow my flow. So I don't think there's anything wrong with using it as a sort of like outline for yourself. But
didn't the writer of True Detective, the first season, didn't he use most of the dialogue from like a novel or something?
Oh, really?
Wow. Yeah. People were like, wow, stole. Yeah.
I mean, there's also parody. You can sometimes rip stuff off, but it's parody.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys ever saw the movie Airplane. I'm sounding so old today.
That's one of my favorites. Airplanes is my favorite. I love that movie.
I didn't realize that Airplane is like taken word for word. I mean, not word for word, but scene from a old time like 1960s movie. They just copied the entire format of the movie. I mean, obviously they put in all the funny parts, but the story is completely ripped off from something else.
Oh wow!
A movie.
Airplane 1 and 2 are like my all-time favorites. It's so good.
So I always feel like, okay, well, Airplane completely copied there's not that many original stories in the world, but it's how that'll make it different.
I feel like that's an exception only in like Japanese manga, like in manga, because there are some stories that have definitely never been told before in the world.
That's true. When my son will tell me stuff about manga that he's reading, I'm like, that is freaking crazy town. Yeah, like nobody's thought of that before. And people rip off. I mean, here I am talking about it's okay to plagiarize or it's okay to steal ideas. No, I mean, people rip off. I mean, I've heard that Grand Royale is the whatever it's called. I mean, I've heard that they rip off Japanese comics all the time in movies and don't give the credit back to the Japanese comics.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
Anyway,
I mean, it goes to show, like one of my favorite South Korean films, Old Boy, and like obviously Hollywood did a remake, but the original still, I mean, like that when it came out, I was like, holy shit! Like this is
everybody talks about Old Boy. I know everybody talks about it. I have to see that. I've never seen that movie. I hear it's great.
Oh, it's great. It's a great.
Can't remake it, but just with a different name.
No, it's the same name. Spike Lee unfortunately did it shot for shot. I don't know why he did that, but he made the American one shot for shot of the other one.
Interesting.
Yeah. And I was gonna say shit for shit, but no, shot for shot.
Yeah. I don't know if Spike Lee's listening, you know what I mean? So maybe
Spike, we love early work, do the right thing. Great movie.
Yeah.
Sop Hunger Games. Yeah, they adapted Grand Royale. Hunger Games was Grand Royale.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Thank you,
That makes sense.
Thank you, Sapo.
Thank you for making me sound smart. And also it's Battle Royale. God, Grand Royale was
James Bond.
James Bond movie, or maybe a drink I had in Las Vegas. It was Battle Royale. I am really bad at my comic book knowledge. Really.
Yeah. I think Battle Royale. Yeah, that was with the students, right? It's like the school.
Yes, it's the school, and Hunger Games just down and out. Just took it. I don't know what the deal is with that, but anyway, that's probably a little over the line with stealing. But now I don't even know what my point was anymore.
Well, no, I think we covered a lot.
Everything.
We covered a lot, and I want to respect your time on there. So we have
fun.
We have a few more minutes. If there's, I think Azeneth, if she had any other questions, while we have Jonathan here, but it made me think of something is, and you could probably use this if you want, but what I think of, if you don't write, you're left, or if you don't write, you left.
Oh, I love
that.
Okay.
Remember, I can use that as my closing to every show. And remember, if you don't write, you're left.
You're left. Like you left the idea, if you don't write.
Yeah, that's true. If you don't
write, you left. I love it.
Right about now is the ultimate pun, so I guess we're right there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, when I met you with that, I was like, that was I love that. I was like, okay, I gotta get to know this guy.
Shout out to my friend Adam, who came up with that for me. My friend Adam was no longer with us, but he came up with that pun, and that was the greatest pun. Paul, shout out to Adam.
Oh, nice.
He was a great pun creator.
Pun meister.
He was a pun meister. He was.
Speaking of Paul, so yeah, he has a question. What has been the most effective way to market your podcast? That's always a good question.
Great question, Paul. I'm glad you asked that, Paul. Actually, for me, the best way to market my podcast is to bring on other people with podcasts onto my podcast, and then have them promote their appearance on my pod. Kind of do a swap, right? So we'll have to have you guys on my show. You'll talk about your show. And then I'm getting dizzy thinking about this, but that cross promotion thing has by far been the most effective, unpaid, earned way to promote a podcast. It's the same rule that I learned when I was working with YouTube. It's the same rule. That's how you get views. It's so hard to break out. I think there's like millions of podcasts out there. So to break through the clutter, you got to kind of get on the feed of other like-minded podcasters and try to have people on your show that have shows that are similar to your show. So I'm not going to have somebody who does a wrestling show on my show and then expect all his listeners to want to listen to Right About Now when it's not wrestle about, it's whatever. It's close to right. It's almost like wrestle about now. But.
Well, what if they're like wrestling with the ideas of their writing?
Yes.
How would you body slam a feature film?
So, talk to us about Strike Fire Productions. I know that's your new venture for 2020.
Thank you for mentioning that. So I just started a new side hustle, and it's called Strike Fire Productions. You can look it up, strikefireproductions.com. And speaking about podcasts, we talked in the beginning of this how much I love podcasting. I started, I loved it so much, I started kind of producing some of the people I knew's podcasts and also just colleagues. My first job was to do the SAG-AFTRA podcast. Shout out to the union SAG-AFTRA, and was a producer on their podcast. And as a result of that, I realized that I could start a business producing other people's podcasts. And have been reaching out to lots of different companies and brands. I've signed on a bunch of different clients. And my pitch is, everybody wants to have a podcast. It's a great way to connect with your audience, but making a podcast is a pain in the butt. I'm not going to say it's hard because, doesn't take a brain scientist, but it's not easy to do. It's time consuming, and you've got to learn a whole new skill set. And so my goal is to kind of make it easy for people. So they basically all have to do is show up and record their audio, and they're good night. I'll edit it, I'll promote it, I'll produce it, I'll do everything for you. So that's strikefireproductions.com, and hit me up and we'll talk business.
That's awesome. So yeah, so strikefireproductions.com. I love that. Definitely would love everyone that's listening. If you have any other questions, Jonathan Small, I'm sure has that knowledge that can answer.
John Jon, like Jon Stewart, JON at strikefireproductions.com is a good email address for me. So check me out there. Or yeah.
Don't need no
Thank you, Azeneth, and thank you, Paul and Sapo and all those people for listening.
Well, no, we're happy to have you. I thank you for bringing that aspect of from the writer's end. Because what they say, if you don't write, you left behind.
As I say, do the right thing. Do the right thing.
Oh, there you go. and then of course to tie it all in with Fun Intended, the TV show. Laughter is a no-brainer.
Yeah.
So if you're just tuning in, definitely check out the episode. Should be up tomorrow, so you can see all the fun we had with Fun Intended, a TV show. Just think, let's think of a log line real quick. So think Game of Thrones meets
Hunger Games meets no, it's Game of Thrones meets
let's see.
Well, it's Hunger Games meets
Children of Men. Remember that one? Or Children of Men?
Isn't that the one where they're all blind? Or
that's the one where they can't have kids no more.
Yeah, they all
kids no more. Yeah, that's kind of like that.
It's like a play. It's like that was a good movie.
Yeah. That's
maybe Hunger Games meets Children of Men meets Animal House, because there's got to be a comedy element to it, right?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
What about Hunger Games?
What am I, born in 1961? I mean, my references are all.
It's got to be I Love Lucy meets the dinosaurs. Lucy meets the dinosaurs.
All right, no.
Well, I'm just happy your email isn't at AOL.com. Then you'd really know. Or Netscape. What was it? Netscape?
Yeah, that's
just out there asking Jeeves.
Yeah.
That's Jeeves out there. Earthlink.
Yeah, but awesome. So would your email be the best way for anyone to get a hold of you, or do you have any social tags you want to?
On at Strikefire Productions. I'm happy to answer your questions. I love helping people out, and I love paying it forward. So people were very good to me when I was coming up in the game, and so I like to return that favor. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, thanks again. We're so happy to have you. And be sure to check us out more on our social links, which is ideaPRTYpodcast.com. And then you can find us all across the board at ideaPRTY Podcast. ideaPRTY, PRTY, because why not? Thanks, guys.
I'm Brendan Crawford. It's RC. Jonathan. Peace, y'all.
Peace.
All right. Peace and love, everybody.
That was great.